尽量这个庙就不能进，女人不能进。
男子强男就是强了就可以了。
就是姓吴的、姓的女人不可以跳，不对，什么的都可以。
传男不传女啊！
Nuo was one of the oldest sacrificial and magical rituals. It was originally held to expel evil spirits and pestilence. The major activity of this ritual is dancing. Performers need to wear Nuo masks and make certain dance movements. This special form of dancing is called Nuo dance. Currently, there's no document showing the exact date of which Nuo was formed. The earliest record of Nuo was on oracle bonds, which can be traced back to the Shan dynasty, about 17th to 11th century BC. Then in the Zhou dynasty, Nuo had already become very significant and systematic. People often held Nuo ceremonies during the festivals and holidays. The Nuo ceremonies held by the royal court were called Grand Nuo ceremonies, and those held in the countryside were called Folk Nuo ceremonies. It gradually became more of an entertainment during the next few dynasties, and was brought to Korea and Japan. After Qing dynasty, Nuo opera separated from Nuo ceremonies and became a unique performing art. After People's Republic of China was established in 1949, Nuo was suppressed by the Chinese government because the superstitious elements in Nuo opera were contrary to atheism advocated by the Chinese Communist Party. It was more severely damaged during the Cultural Revolution, seen as a decayed feudal tradition. However, the reform and opening up policies helped Nuo culture recover and develop. Now, Nuo culture is well protected by the Chinese government as an intangible cultural heritage. However, when my teachers and I try to find more information about Nuo culture on the internet, we notice something unusual. In ancient times, women could not get involved in Nuo dance. They were not even allowed to touch the Nuo masks. People did not allow women to touch or wear the masks. Only men could make, use, and preserve the masks. Nuo opera excludes women. Even if the Nuo gods, characters in Nuo opera, are female, they're all played by male performers. I mean, it's just hard to believe that such a popular folk ritual is completely closed to women, and even the female characters were played by men. It's totally absurd, I said. This is absolutely a kind of gender discrimination. Why does Nuo culture discriminate against women? What factors contributed to the formation of this discrimination? What do women themselves think? The internet and museum cannot answer our questions. In order to understand the actual situation of those women and get more information about Nuo culture, I went to Shiyou Village in Nanfeng County with my teachers and parents. Nuo culture is distributed in many regions in China. Nanfeng County in Jiangxi Province is one of the areas which preserve Nuo culture best. And the Nuo dance in Shiyou Village is the most famous one. It's widely known as the living fossil of ancient Chinese dance. We plan to interview several kinds of people in that area and find out the answers we're looking for. In our first day conversation with the local experts, we learned that the Nuo dance in Shiyou Village was brought by Wu Chaozong from Guangdong Province during the Ming Dynasty. More specifically, it was in the early 15th century. Since then, the Nuo dancing team in Shiyou Village has always been a group of 8 performers, administrated by the people with the last name Wu. In order to manage the Nuo dancing team and activities related to Nuo culture in Shiyou Village, the administrators with the last name Wu made several rules. And one of their principles is that women cannot participate in Nuo dancing. And they also don't allow women to enter the Nuo temple to see the Nuo performance.
在操场上广场上跳是吧？
广场上可以。
进到那个庙就不能进，女人不能进去。
那我们只能意思说，女人只能在这个外面看。
操场上
外面带娱乐性质，里面带这种祭祀的那个祭祀的。
It seems that they explained why women cannot enter the temple, but they actually did not tell us the primary cause. Why women cannot participate in a sacrificial ritual. When we asked our question, they just kept saying, well, this is the tradition, it's been that way for hundreds of years, but nobody can explain the real cause. To find that real cause, we entered the Shiyou Village in the afternoon and firstly interviewed 2 male performers in the current Nuo dancing team. And the information they gave us coordinated with our online research before. There are 7 Nuo operas that the Nuo dancing team must perform during every ceremony. One of the operas is about an 80-year-old couple surprisingly had a new baby son. People believe this opera can bring young couples new babies. However, the old grandpa and grandma in this opera are all played by male performers. And when we asked them the reason, they said nothing more than the word tradition. Tradition is just an excuse, we believed. Still with our doubts, we decided to interview some senior villagers. Coincidentally, 2 senior villagers we interviewed are from the family Wu, and one of them is still the administrator of the Nuo dancing team. This time, we heard something new. Because they spoke with a strong dialect accent, I will just conclude the major information in the subtitles.
那你也去那个庙里吗？
去呀，
你也去是吧？
同时大那就是我就是去那个庙里，我就是庙里跟那就跟就是邻上了，邻居。
以前女的不让进是吧？女的不可以进那个庙。
可以进那个。
有个不能走。哎，现在可以了。可现在干不？
现在是可以哈。
以前也可以。
女个什么？
可是情况就不进。
他们有的人说不让女的看。
看小花水。
啊，平时可以进。
平时可以跳
那个表演。
表演呐，不是推。
跳舞的时候不可以进。
那时候不可以，那就大年初一，那个大年初一，这2天不能走。
大年初一、初2不让进。
哎，初一16。
初一16。
哎，初一16。
不让进。
是一个。
女的不能跳挪，你们有想法？
不能跳。
你有什么想法不能？你们有没有想过为什么我们女的不能跳？有没有这种想法？
老板娘，
有一个是女校，
一个那就是不正规了。
女的就不正规了。
女的不正规，男子的哈，一个是男子床是吗？是吗？以前那个乡下民种田嘛，
都是男的，
都是男的行钱嘛，
没有男的赚不到钱。
都是那个银行钱，银行过是嘛？他是男的行去是嘛？就是男的了嘛，那就是都你看得到的嘛。这个时代，那就是有舞台，可是男子床嘛。
So we can understand that one crucial factor contributed to the gender discrimination is actually women's economic status. Because men take the major financial responsibility in their families, they dominate all kinds of activities, including Nuo ceremony. We also feel sad and sorry that women themselves are not aware of the discrimination they're experiencing. Their minds have been controlled by the so-called tradition for so long that they have completely lost the incentive to think about the logic behind. It's very ironic to hear the words, "women are informal," from a woman. However, we didn't quite understand the meaning of informal. It may have something to do with the religious beliefs in Nuo culture, but we are not sure yet. To figure this out, we interviewed the secretary of Shiyou Village, Mr. Ye. Mr. Ye told us that the Nuo culture in Shiyou Village was actually a branch of Taoism. Many customs in Nuo ceremonies have something to do with Taoism. But this is weird. Taoism has always been advocating the equality between men and women. Unlike Buddhism, Taoism does not discriminate against women at all, and even holds nymph worship. In Taoism, men represent yang, women represent yin. Yang and yin are supposed to coordinate with each other in equal importance. Mr. Ye explained to us that the locals believe yin is bad for Nuo gods, and the Nuo gods will show their anger in unfriendly ways. An article from Wu's official website, worldwu.com, mentioned that the villagers believe if women enter the temple, fire will break out in the temple. Once an officer from Jiangxi provincial government came into the temple with his wife, and the fire broke out in the temple after a few days. The article used the word "led to a fire" to describe this coincidence, making a connection between two events that are not actually related. This perfectly shows their bias against women, just like Mr. Ye said. Therefore, the gender discrimination in Nuo culture was not inherited from Taoism. I guess this bias is more or less related to the Confucianism, the mainstream thought in ancient China. The religious beliefs in Nuo culture have probably combined part of the yin-yang theory from Taoism and sexism from Confucianism during Nuo's development. That can explain why today people still hold the perspective that yang is better than yin. But this is just my analysis. So far, we haven't found any academic research on this topic. We continue our conversation with Mr. Ye. He told us that he used to be one performer in the Nuo dancing team. After he became the secretary of this village, he supported the government's policy of bringing Nuo culture to schools. He chose students from local schools and taught them to dance Nuo dance. But the small dancing team only have boys. He explained that the original administrator of the formal Nuo dancing team did not allow him to teach girls, even out of the formal team, because this will break the tradition. He also mentioned other villages in Nanfeng County which also have their own Nuo culture. I looked up these villages in a book the experts gave me and found that all of the villages hold gender discrimination. In some places, women are not allowed to pass certain streets during Nuo ceremonies, and in other places, people give their daughters certain names in order to ask the Nuo gods to grant them a son. Pretty much like the situation in Shiyou Village, although women's rights improves a little, the discrimination still commonly remains in the areas with Nuo culture, basically caused by women's economic status and sexism in Nuo's religious beliefs. After coming back from Shiyou Village, we shifted our focus from Nuo dance to Nuo masks. When visiting the International Mask Exhibition, we surprisingly found Nuo masks carved by a female artist, Mrs. Lee, though her artworks only make up a very tiny part of the whole exhibition. We felt very confused because in Nanfeng County, no Nuo artist will take a female apprentice. Thus, we came to visit Master Zhang and ask him about Mrs. Lee. He is the 14th generation heir to the art of Nuo mask carving. He has carved the masks for more than 50 years. He told us that Mrs. Lee was originally a sculptor from Hangzhou. She just liked the style of Nuo masks and tried to carve some. Because she already had excellent carving skills, she learned to carve Nuo masks without teachers. And then we asked why no Nuo dancing team uses her masks. He said that's because her masks had the wrong proportions. Like when performers wear her masks, the eye holes of the mask will be located on their front head. If she gets the right proportions, the masks can be used by the performers. Although Master Zhang's words reflected a more tolerant attitude as an artist, we feel that he does not really accept Mrs. Lee and her artworks. He mentioned that because he was afraid that the skill of Nuo mask carving will disappear in the future, he taught many apprentices. But he prefers to teach the husband of his daughter and other people rather than teach his own daughter. Obviously, his mind, like those of other people in Shiyou Village, is also trapped in a cage named tradition, around which stands the wall of gender. But now, there are actually cracks in the wall. I watched a video that in Wanzai County, another county in Jiangxi Province, Nuo dancing becomes students' exercise in school. The girls became the leaders, standing at the front of the line. I believe there will be more people like Mr. Ye, and this scenery can also be seen in Nanfeng County in the future. Additionally, I believe there will be more female artists like Mrs. Lee. When women create a lot of fine works of Nuo culture, all people will have to accept and appreciate them. Finally, I believe there will be more students like me. I surprisingly saw a little boy giving a lecture to introduce Nuo culture in the exhibition. I think the only thing we can do is to tell these stories to inspire more people to notice this culture, to care about those women, and to create something new that can both preserve the culture and filter out some decayed traditions. One day, the modern winds will break the wall of gender in Nuo culture. It will be shared with him, with her, and with all. And I believe the day is not that far.